Okay, here we go. We on. I just walked into this site. Now remember, I told you this site is about 25 acres, but it's broken up into about 5 pieces. And if you look here, if you look down where I'm pointing to my smartphone, you can see where we've been cutting. We've been cutting out, they're really not invasives, but this is kind of like a maple stump here. This place was logged about 8 years ago. If you look up, you can see some green on some of these trees, and the leaves that you see is buckthorn, which is an invasive species that overtakes a stand whether it's been logged off or not. It spreads like wildfire. These trees, they're actually considered shrubs. They're not native to North America. They come from Eastern Europe originally. But people brought them over here they thought that there was a nice, beautiful ornamental tree when they spread out. And the unfortunate part is they produce a lot of berries. And these berries are not edible for humans. And even though wildlife do eat these shrubs, the berries give the birds diarrhea. So if any of you get clogged up and your bowels are not moving real good, medically speaking, you might want to try some of these berries, but I wouldn't suggest it. Here's how the leaves look. This is common buckthorn, what you see, and I'm pointing it to you right here. This is one that I cut down, and what we're doing here is we're cutting all things that will compete with oak. If you look down a little closer, you can see these young oak coming in. This is white oak. They've already turned colors. These oaks here, some of them are taller. I'll show you some taller ones. They're regenerating. There's oak all over the place. And that's what was cut out for the most part. They cut out of here this stand oak and cherry and maple. And but they don't want the cherry and maple to come back or to take over. These are the stumps that we cut with my power saw, and we treat that with a herbicide so they don't re-sprout back. If you look at the stump, you look over here next to it, there's another oak tree, and that oak tree wouldn't have never made it with this bouquet of maple that was coming up. The foresters, what they do is they mark out a perimeter around the sites that they want us to cut, and he sprayed the trees with red paint. And on this particular piece that me and my wife are cutting on, it's about, I would say, 6 or 7 acres in here. Here's a more older oak here. This is a white oak, beautiful oak. And if you look all the way around this oak, one of the guidelines for these guys is they want you to cut enough stuff down, 20 feet in diameter, perimeter around these oak trees, so that the oak trees will have a chance to regenerate, grow, and by the time me and maybe some of you kids, me gone, and maybe you guys get old, these trees will come to maturity. If you look up in the distance there, you'll see a mature oak. They didn't cut every oak down. What they did was they left some oak standing so that the oak would produce acorns, and they would drop to the forest floor and regenerate. So with the squirrels and the wildlife burying the acorns in the soil, what you get is some saplings coming up, and these are some beautiful oak trees. There's a variety of oak in here. There's red oak, white oak, bur oak, swamp oak. This area that we're in is kind of a wet area, being that it's not too far off the shoreline of Green Bay. And what you got, all the green that you see as I'm scanning the perimeter, is buckthorn. And you can't get it all. Only the areas that they want regeneration to take place, me and my wife have been cutting it down, and we've been treating the stumps. And so if you look at you can see the oak trees, the saplings, and what we've been doing is we've been dropping all the other saplings that will compete with it. They will eventually rot. You might be wondering why. You say, well, do you guys cut it up? Do you shred it up? No, we leave it, and we net nature take its course. These trees that are laying on the ground that we've cut, they're young, and they'll eventually will rot and return back to where they came from, the ground. God is an amazing God, how he takes care of the earth. And all we are stewards of the earth. This world doesn't belong to us. He put us here to be stewards and to take care of the land. That's exactly what we're doing. I'm gonna log off here because my wife is probably behind. Okay, guys, here's my wife, and here she comes. She's got her backpack on. She's finding her way through this grassy area. This is what I was talking about, the wet area. And you got some native grasses growing in here, but you also got some oak trees coming up in here too. This looks right here like a swamp oak from looking at the leaves. So as you know, there's different varieties of oak trees. Some of them like to grow in wet soils. And over here, if I walk over here, you see buckthorn again. You can see it. And buckthorn is much more prolific and in nature. It will spread quicker than this oak will. And our job is to make sure that we can get rid of enough of this buckthorn out here so that it will not take over, and that it will not overtake this oak that you see down here. You see it. This looks more like a red oak, and right next to it is a buckthorn. You see. And so what we do is we eradicate this buckthorn, and you can never get rid of it all. So our job is to keep it under control, to give this oak a chance to grow and mature in the future, so that the future generations can enjoy these beautiful oak trees that you see growing up here. This is an epidemic in the state of Wisconsin and other states in the north central areas. Buckthorn has really caused a major problem, and we just our job is to try to keep it under control, but it's a daunting task. It really is. I'm gonna shut this off until we get into start doing some cutting, and then maybe my wife can get a recording of what we do. She can record me cutting, and then we'll show you the process what we do in treating the stumps. Okay? Love you and God bless. I'm out.